are so excited to be starting our first Librarians on the Couch shoot today. And have we got a treat for you? Fantastic guests. And our first guest, inaugural filming day, is none other than PLV CEO Angela Savage. Woohoo! Go girl! Yeah. She's already a library nerd, can't you tell? Fantastic. And of course, with me today, I have Karen Siegman, our wonderful ambassador for RACO, and our other lovely guest. Joining Angela on the couch today is none other than newly appointed project officer for PLV Public Libraries Victoria and project lead for Maribyrnong Libraries for Children's or Young People's Services, I should say, Christine Peters. Woohoo!
Oh,
welcome.
No. We're wearing the same t-shirt.
Oh, I wonder if that was pre-organised this morning with the dress call, huh? I missed the memo. Welcome.
Thanks,
It is
Paula.
so lovely to have you with us, and we are a bit excited, of course, because we are all library nerds clearly here on the couch today. Now, we had this really interesting conversation, which I'll come to in a minute, but first of all, let me introduce our guests once again and a little bit of background for you all. So, Angela Savage, our wonderful 3 years now, CEO for Public Libraries Victoria. We know that you love us. We do know that.
Best job ever.
And you know that we love you more. Exactly. Thank you, Christine. Just took the words out of my mouth. I love it. And of course, your background's really interesting coming into libraries because you were the head of Neighbourhood Houses Victoria, which, you know, what a beautiful background to bring to this equation around looking after, you know, community from a very grassroots perspective in what happens in neighbourhood houses. And then, of course, the other bookend, how lucky were we, is CEO of Writers Victoria. So tell us just a little moment about also the third part in this little triangle is the writer, the crime writer.
Yes, it was actually an incredible opportunity when this job came up. It just seemed to be like all roads in my career were leading to libraries. And I joked after I got the job with Public Libraries Victoria that I'd gone from Writers Victoria to Readers Victoria. But it was actually the values of the organisation. When I read those values, preparing for the job interview, that I was really sold on it. And, you know, what's been fantastic is, of course, those values are absolutely lived by the organisation. I've never worked in a culture like it, both in terms of Public Libraries Victoria as a peak body, but also the sector. It's so generous and so collegiate.
We walk the talk,
really,
don't we?
Yeah.
We talk the
And
walk.
it's
and we walk the
astonishing.
talk. Yeah.
And those of us, so our small team at Public Libraries Victoria is, well, now that we have Christine on board, we actually have more trained librarians than non-librarians. But the two of us who are not library trained, both of us are constantly saying, you know, Zach, our other non-library person, was saying, you know, you told me libraries were different and I didn't believe you. I said, but they are. And culturally, it's so
and your
different.
T-shirts say it all. What a wonderful campaign we've had with Libraries Change Lives. I mean, you know, for any of you who haven't had a chance to look at some of the videos, the stories that have come out of this campaign, it is, I've got goosebumps just remembering some of those stories. And of course, I can't help but mention our beautiful Kaz as well in this, Cal, I should say, in this conversation, you know.
Yes.
Terribly poignant time for all of us in libraries.
She was a wonderful ambassador.
Absolutely outstanding ambassador for the campaign and for libraries in general. So now deep breath, everyone. That was a little bit of a sad moment that I crept up on me just then. Sorry about that. But let's segue to Christine for a moment. So has been, as I said, the program lead for young people at Maribyrnong Libraries for quite some time, I think now, or at least involved in public libraries for quite some time. Not as long as some, which we'll come back to in a moment with Karen and I, the oldies with the grey hair in the room, you know. But we try and, you know, rock that a bit. But Christine, tell us a little bit about you and also this wonderful opportunity that you've recently accepted.
So I landed in libraries about 10 years ago. So yes, you know, I am quite new and still considered new.
We're a bit like that in libraries. But yeah.
and it was actually an accident, to be honest. Like I actually was studying the master's degree at Charles university by distance, and then fully intended to go and work in an academic library so that I could fund my PhD in ancient history.
Oh, who
So
knew?
this is a big change.
Yeah.
And so,
Although, hang on, can I just say, segue for a moment? We do love an old library.
oh, absolutely.
Speaking of ancient history. Sorry, I just need to say that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the losing the Library of Alexandria is like the
Yes.
worst thing that
no,
happened
we all still
to
mourn that, don't we?
humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so to get away from the children, I would go and study at the public library.
Your own children you're speaking
My own
of.
children.
Yes.
Yes,
You
just
go and hang with
love
other
my
people's children,
Yes.
right?
No, well, I would just go and study at the public library
Oh, I
in the
love
little
it.
town that we were living in,
Yeah.
and I started thinking, hang on a minute, this is maybe this is what I want to do.
Wow, I love it.
And it just came out.
So libraries changed your life.
Well, yes, libraries
that
have the
sense.
power to change.
Yeah, it's true,
Oh,
isn't it?
nicely said.
Nice little segue, and of course, speaking of life changings, but also maybe life sentences. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. Is Karen has recently had a beautiful milestone acknowledged in our public library sector. So, Karen, tell us about that.
So Sunday I went to a little event with ALIA Vic, Australian Library and Information Association, and I received my 25-year membership pin. Of
Woohoo!
course, I've been in public libraries a lot longer than that. I did start as a child, of course. And I realised what a nerdy librarian I actually am, because when I got to the event, I didn't realise there were going to be 4 presentations on subject headings. And I thought, oh no.
Kill me now.
And then it was so fascinating. So I am a librarian through and through. But it was really nice to have that recognition. And, ALIA is such a wonderful organisation. And the whole library industry, just like what you talked about, I don't think there's another industry like it.
I agree.
Not
I
in the
think
way
it's a
we
beautiful.
Work together, we share. And it's not just in Victoria or Australia, it's international.
I would have to say one of the great pleasures that I've had in Library Land in recent months, I should say, is attending for the first time the International Federation of Libraries Association conference in Rotterdam. And it's been on my bucket list for a long time. I've almost got there twice before. Won't go into why that didn't happen, apart from politics and all those wonderful things that happen in libraries. And I met some of my wonderful colleagues who are on the standing committee for reading and libraries, reading and literacies, I should say, and also the children's and youth standing committees for IFLA. And it was like we were in this sort of sisterhood, brotherhood thing, instantly, it's like we'd known each other forever. As you said, absolutely, Angela, it's the alignment of the values. It's that we walk the talk, we talk the talk, and your point, Karen, around collaboration and innovation too, I would say, is that we are...
The creativity is remarkable.
It is, isn't it?
Creative problem solving.
Yes.
And, this is where I just feel so excited to be part of it.
Yeah.
And I feel, we have lifelong learning as one of our services,
Yes.
but we're also practicing that in the sector itself.
Yes, exactly.
This is just glorious exchange of skills and knowledge, and
yeah.
so you feel like you're constantly learning something new, and it's
Yeah.
just so exciting
Yeah.
to be doing that in the workplace without even trying.
Absolutely, it's just all there. And speaking of that too, I think the other relevant theme here is around community development and community strengthening, which again we do for our communities in the public sector, but we also do it as a community practitioners. We are constantly in that lovely development mode. And speaking of which, Christine, your most recent posting with Public Libraries Victoria, apart from your appointment, was of course as the lead of the SIG, the Special Interest Group for Children's and Youth. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what some of the fun things have been that you've been doing
so
with that
many.
SIG?
I mean, look, the SIGs are just wonderful.
Yeah.
Angela calls them the powerhouse
Yes.
of PLV, and they truly are.
Yeah.
And the grassroots initiatives that come out of this are just fantastic, because they're projects and they're ideas generated by librarians that are working on the floor with communities, and they know what they want and they know what they need. And it gives us the opportunity to work on things together across all the library services.
Yeah,
and perfect example of that is Big Summary, which is highly successful. Last year we had 11,500 kids registered, and
Fantastic!
it
Congratulations.
was about 130,000 books read over summer.
Which was a 40% increase on the year before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yay!
well done.
Yeah. So it is an incredibly
Love it.
successful campaign, and of course it's just about getting kids to read.
And the research says that, in fact, that reading over the summer period is the game changer
Can
for
be the
kids, keeping them reading. In
Yeah,
other
that's
words,
right.
you know, during that summer break where they get back to school the next year, and the kids who haven't kept reading, they have to play catch up before they
Yeah.
can keep going. And I don't just mean reading for the sake of reading. I'm talking about vocabulary development. I'm talking about empathy. I'm talking about maturity. All those things that absolutely that reading does for us as a wonderful tonic that it is.
Exactly, and it's so good for our mental health. as
Yes.
well.
Oh God, yeah. And lovely segue to just talk a little bit about one of the initiatives that PLV has been involved in is this wellbeing framework that you've been working on, Angela. Do you want to tell us a little bit about
So
that?
that's one of our projects in collaboration with State Library Victoria. It's just entered its 4th year, and basically, there's not a huge amount that's brand new in the project. It's really about recognising the contribution that libraries make to health and wellbeing of the community, and one of the things they do is simply by existing, they actually contribute to people's health and wellbeing. There was some research done earlier this year that showed just being in the library increases people's subjective health and wellbeing by 5.4 points, which is the equivalent of 8%. So just going into the library makes you 8% happier. And that was controlled for all kinds of
That's the most
factors.
passive programming.
This is it. And then, of course, on top of that, you build you add to that the incredible work that libraries do to nurture social connection, to nurture health and well-being, overtly through health literacy, through nutrition, through partnering to deliver all kinds of mental health supports and food supply in some cases with community pantries. And then you've got the kind of subtle layer, which is, the craft groups, the chatty cafes, the things that are happening, and the Libraries After Dark initiative, and all of those things that are just, working against the loneliness epidemic.
Yes.
And we know
Wrapping
that
around
loneliness is a
communities.
massive source of ill health, physical and mental, in our communities. So it's all this stuff that libraries can do. And on top of that, at our core, we are pushers of books. And those, and as Christine pointed out, just reading for pleasure has significant health and wellbeing impact. So, I think we're proud of that core, and we're books and more.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful alliteration. We're going to come back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Karen.
I just want to talk to you for a minute about one of the major parts of your role is advocacy. And what's always driven me crazy working in libraries is advocacy, because I often find that the people who make the decisions about libraries are people who don't use them. And it's really hard to convince them of what libraries do. And, I hear you speak, and I know that this is how you speak to other people, but, how difficult do you find it trying to convince those decision makers who don't get it?
Look, we're very fortunate at the moment in having a minister who does get it.
Great.
She's an incredible advocate and supporter of public libraries, Melissa Horn, who's the Minister for Local Government. She's a great advocate within Parliament, and she's also encouraged us to develop a kind of almost a Friends of Libraries, or a sort of cohort of MPs who get libraries and who are supportive. So part of my job is identifying who those people are, and part of my job is swinging those who are not into that space. And look, it's not a hard sell, Karen. I mean, I joke that my correct job title is not CEO, it's Cheer Squad for public libraries.
I was going to say, did I get that wrong?
But it's not a hard sell if you can get the ear, because there is so much going on. We have, I keep saying to people, we have a statewide approval rating according to our public satisfaction rating according to our latest survey is 8.51. Like no industry has satisfaction levels like that. And it basically varies between about 8 and 9 a year. Some libraries, and I'll say hi, Hindmarsh Library, you're amazing. 9.5% satisfaction rating they get.
I think one of the things about the satisfaction rating is when I was at Bayside, libraries always came out top of satisfaction rating, but we were always beaten by a smidge by waste.
Oh yes, well, you know,
not
But-
lately.
or maternal
No,
child
no,
health
no.
in some
and then
places.
the year before I left, we beat waste. And it was kind of like,
Yes.
done it.
Well, that's the other thing I've seen this year's, aggregated results for councils as well. And again, libraries are right up there as by far, the most valued council services. So, I feel like we've got this brand, which is, which everyone who knew how good we are would want to be part of.
Yes.
And so for me, the job that I try to do is to have my radar out there, seeing what's going on, and just collect those great news stories
Yeah.
and then bring them to the
Yeah.
attention. And working with people like Christine and the conveners of the different special interest groups, that's an incredible mechanism to surface that material. And I guess the other thing I'd say about the SIGs that I wanted to say, to build on what Christine was saying, is that, one of the things I noticed, and this was very similar with neighbourhood houses, right? So when I first came into the sector, no one size fits all for libraries. And
yes.
libraries pride themselves on being as unique as the communities they serve. And they really push back on, being told what to do. But they also get that there's strength in numbers and that we are more effective when we work collaboratively.
Yeah.
And these projects that have come out of the SIGs, the Big Summer Read, the Warm Winter Read, Love Your Library and Your Language project, these are ways that we can, by working collectively, we save time, we save money, we avoid making the same mistakes. We learn collectively from our experience, and we really significantly increase our profile.
Yeah.
So that has
Yes.
great advocacy knock-on
Yes.
effects, because we've got aggregated data on the number of kids reading. We've got a look, a fabulous brand and look that every
Yeah.
library is,
And just
proud
about
of.
that, just another question for Christine and you about kids reading. There is no other industry that exists that encourages early years literacy from birth.
That's exactly right. We are the number one provider of early
Yep.
literacy programs, free early literacy
Yes.
programs for 0 to 3-year-olds.
And
Yeah.
as we know, with the brain science that's really focused on early childhood development the last 10 years, we know that window of 0 to 3, that's the game changer. That's the time when, if you're getting some kind of dose, if you like, of early literacy intervention, I mean, loosely calling it the word intervention, but that wonderful rich vocabulary that we get from picture books, exposure to picture books. I mean, who knew?
and song.
That, and language in picture books is as complex as reading a newspaper in terms of unusual words.
Yeah.
So, this is one of the things that's so magical about this. If you recall things like gnashing of teeth in Where the Wild Things Are. Where else do you hear words like
The
that?
wild rumpus. Let the
Yeah.
wild rumpus begin.
It's just extraordinary. And those opportunities for rich vocabulary and language development, of course, is what's happening with the rhyme times with babies and these lovely activities.
The biggest part of our work in early literacy, I believe, is getting the parents on board
Yes.
and
Yes.
really modelling for the parents
Yes.
and having them immersed in the songs and the stories and the rhymes.
I was-
And
I was really shocked by that statistic that Raising Literacy Australia shared at our conference earlier this year, where they said 20% of parents think the kids' learning is laid down by their genetics. Like
Correct.
They don't
Yeah.
understand that they actually
They
have
and
can
it's
have
not
influence,
socioeconomic
Yeah,
either.
that's
I mean, it
exactly
can be. I'm not saying that doesn't have an impact, but it's also that there can be very well-educated parents or well-employed parents who just haven't had an exposure to that. They don't understand that role they have as child's first literacy teacher.
That's exactly
So,
right. Yeah.
the role we have as children's librarians in particular, I think, because they're usually the people in our public libraries who are closest to that, have that opportunity to be the coach, the
Absolutely.
parent's coach,
Yeah.
which is
and a
really
role model,
powerful.
as you say.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is that we're different to schools and preschools and childcare centres because we have the child in the context of the family.
Yes,
So it's not just the child;
Correct.
it's everything around the child.
yes.
And so it's us kind of changing that mindset of the parents and the grandparents or encouraging the ones that are already doing it. Saying,
Yes.
look what you're doing.
Yeah,
This is
what
a
an
better
impact it's
indicator.
making.
Your children learning. Look at the Big Summer Read. Your children reading over summer is a better indication of later going into tertiary education than socioeconomic. So-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to add to that is that we're also non-judgmental spaces that differs us from
Yeah.
other institutions. So,
Yes.
we're the safe place to try something for
Yep.
the first time, because no one's going to judge you if it doesn't succeed. You have this
Absolutely.
beautiful okay to fail mentality, which
Yes.
again is part of that culture we were talking about earlier.
And I think the very best of inclusion and diversity practice. And I'm reminded of back in 2000 when we opened the new, what was the Carlton Library, but it actually in North Carlton in Rathdown Street. And the architect who worked on that with me, Andrea Wilson, who subsequently went on to do the beautiful Geelong Library.
Mhm.
I'm very proud of that,
Oh, wow.
the association with that. But Andrea, in an article we wrote for Monument magazine, when we won the Australian Institute of Architects Award for the best public building extension and renovation that year for that library, she said that libraries are like the new church. It doesn't cost you anything to belong. You don't have to meet club criteria. You can just turn up and be who you are. And I think it was probably before its time when she said that in 2000, because I don't think all libraries were like that. But I could honestly say, having watched this sort of development in that space and being a very keen activist, but also observer of that shift over the last 25 years, that we have arrived in a very different place. And coming back to the Libraries Change Lives campaign, that's a very core part of that. I want to just segue back to the SIGs again just for a minute, Christine, because I'm really interested to understand the professional development aspect for people like yourself who get to chair a SIG or navigate a SIG as the lead of that group, because I think that it's a really, from again observing this, because that was a change that kind of happened during the time that I got into management in libraries. I'm really interested to know your journey around that, and what do you think happened for you when you became the convener of a SIG, and did it have an impact on where you are now?
Oh, absolutely.
Dumb
without a
question, I
doubt.
know, right?
Absolutely without
It was a bit of a setup.
Yeah, look, the convening a SIG is just the most amazing experience, because you get to meet people that you normally meet.
Yeah.
You get to talk to people. You get to find out about things that are happening in other library services. It informs your own practice as well. And that's not just being a convener. That's
Yes.
being a member or a part of a SIG.
Yes.
The opportunity to network and bounce ideas off each other and all of that sort of stuff. In terms of professional development, having the opportunity to make presentations to managers and things like that. It's I remember the first time I did it, I was so nervous.
Yes.
And thankfully, well, not thankfully for COVID, but it was online, so that kind of made it a little bit easier because it's online. And that just started the way for. I spoke at the ALIA conference in 2022. Lose track of time with COVID. On the Big Summer Read. So, like, there's many opportunities that can arise from if you've got the will to make it happen.
Yes, because it takes extra work, you know.
It does take extra work,
stepping into
and
that.
often that's in your own time as well. But we've got so many passionate people in the industry that are so willing to share their knowledge and to share their expertise with each other, and and the SIG gives them the platform to do that.
Yes.
So I think, and it only strengthens us, as I said, the grassroots element of projects and campaigns coming out rather than being handed down to us. Like there's real ownership in it.
Which of course is community development 101. And it's just so exciting.
Yeah,
the other thing I would add to what Christine's saying, she's probably a little bit modest, because her work as a convener of the Children and Youth Services SIG was exemplary. And you brought incredible strategic thinking skills to that role, as well as your passion. I mean, not only through the Big Summer Read campaign, but through the work we've done in the last 12 months, updating the early years handbook around inclusive practice, and we're now rolling out the training for that. But one of the things that came out clearly when we did a very quick straw poll of SIG conveners not long ago about the benefits of being involved in the SIGs, they talked about the opportunity to step up into leadership roles that weren't offered in their workplace, but they could do that. They could kind of test their leadership muscle in the context of this. And a number of them said that it had been contributed significantly to their career.
Absolutely.
And then career steps. And Christine's a living example.
I'm here on the Libraries of Lounge.
Exactly. Now, speaking of which, let's go there. You know, sort of. I know we're probably running out of time here, but we do have to touch on this, right? So when we invited Christine and Angela in, and Christine came in this morning and said, "I'm so excited to be on the Librarians on the Lounge program," and we all went, "Oh, hang on, we called it Librarians on the Couch." So you know, I think we had this idea that we were going to, you know, have you on the couch and might have a lay down, and we have a bit of a talk about, you know, libraries and
But
well-being.
librarians love alliteration.
Exactly, ba-boom. So, you know, we might have to think about changing the name, but, you know, we'll see how we go with that. But certainly it was a lovely little moment there. But look, the other thing I just wanted to kind of segue into just before we finish up, Karen, of course, you've been involved in one of the special interest groups over the years as well, I think, marketing.
Yes,
Yes,
and
yeah.
a couple I can't remember
Yes,
now.
yes.
It's so long. But
Exactly.
yeah, marketing for a long time I was
Yes.
involved with.
Yeah, that's
That was
fantastic.
then Librarians.
Yes.
Um,
And these projects that you know, really affect, as you said earlier, Angela, the sort of the forward motion of all public libraries being involved in those sort of statewide projects, but also statewide special interest groups, because I know the statewide projects are another topic for another day, perhaps.
Yes.
Sure.
On that note, though, you know, we have got some beautiful statewide projects that have been delivered over the years. And of course, you can see all of those statewide projects on the State Library website and PLV website. So lots of fantastic action research projects and deliverables that we can learn from. So please go and have a look at those websites, because you will find some extraordinary projects there,
and
including.
not just the statewide projects, also the library leadership project.
Yes, yes, the shared leadership projects. And also the Barrett Reed fellowship programs too. And, you know, speaking of those opportunities for growth and leadership, you know I've been a very lucky recipient of one of those fellowships too. And it gave me an opportunity to apply the PhD research study that I had been doing in the context of our community, and to actually apply that research in a way that meant that could then springboard into wider projects again. So, you know, we started some of the Abecedarian early literacy training on the back of that. So, again, for my own professional development, but sort of affirmation of the work that I was doing too, that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for
And
me.
I think for anybody watching today, watching this vlog, it's get onto the PLV website and have a look at all the projects that have been done. There's some really practical stuff on there, not just, you know, high level, but you know, how to set this up or how to do this, which you might not, you know, rather than reinvent the wheel, it's worth going on and having a look and
Can
seeing
I
what
also do
projects that you
a
may.
big shout out, because if you are a member of a staff of a library in Victoria and you haven't signed up to our PLV website, you can sign up to our member portal and subscribe to any of the groups that you're interested in, and you'll receive information. So you'll have be able to access plv.org.au. Very
Lovely,
simple.
very simple.
But you know, you can get access, as Karen says, there's resources on reader development, there's resources on early years literacy, and it's all freely available once you're in that portal. So
I love it. Fantastic.
Sign up.
We are running out of time, I think, unfortunately, but I am going to, can't help but mention The Flowers in the Hair. Now, that's another song as well, right? We're not going to San Francisco today, but I do need to just say that I think, Christine, you take it home with the earrings. They are just so fabulous. I love them. If you can't
I
see
love
them,
reading.
yeah, and they're little books with a little bookmark on the
And
tag.
Angela and I often meet up and find we're wearing the same colour. So
I love
we
it.
didn't check in with each other today, so we could very well have been.
Yeah. But nicely colour sort of complemented today rather than coordinated.
Yeah.
Can I say?
Can you help me here? Because I've forgotten what I was going to say.
We
after
have
all that.
fun is one of our values at Public Libraries Victoria.
Of
And it
course.
makes, and
I
again,
love
you know,
that.
when I first went for the job and I saw that, I
Yes.
thought, yes, because we spend a lot of time at work
Yes.
and we need to have fun. That's a really important part of nurturing who we are. And I think that's actually it. I think all of those things you were saying about, well, we love order. Is it chaos we love? Is it spontaneity? I think it's fun. It's a bit
Of
of
all of it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a heady mix.
part of living a good life.
Yes.
And we want that for our library communities. We want that for ourselves. We want that for each other.
Absolutely.
There's no tall poppy syndrome in libraries.
Absolutely.
At all.
Yeah.
No,
There is big earring syndrome.
There
but
is.
there's
and big flower in your hair syndrome.
and big cardigan.
yeah.
Being part of this industry, librarian, even though I'm not in a library anymore, I kind of do consulting work, and I'm also a celebrant and RACO brand ambassador, so I've got a lot of things I'm doing. But being a librarian has always been part of my identity.
Yes.
So
yes.
I don't think I will ever not be a librarian.
Yes, and I think on that note, I'd have to say a similar thing. I mean, I started as an educator, then I went into community development and then into libraries. And I think those wonderful careers that I've had have absolutely held me so well in when I arrived in public libraries, 25 years ago now, I think, I felt like I'd come home. It was so right, and I have loved being part of that. And of course, as Karen has segued into a new, broader career around a number of things, I've had that great privilege too now, doing, work for RACO, which is a company that I have loved and was a great customer of when I was on the other side. But I kind of tend to say it's not the other side, but, I kind of say it's we're all in this together when you talk about the vendors, but also, to Karen's point about consultancy, I have the great privilege of doing that as well and being a facilitator, but also a coach, and get to do that in libraries. So this wonderful career that we have is just extraordinary, and it is a lifetime career. I can't imagine a time when I won't be involved. Yep, that's right. Anyway, I think we probably need to stop there because we've all got a life that you need to go back to today, other than having all this fun on our first Librarians on the Couch show. Thank you so much to both of you. It's been such fun. We're living the values today. I just love it. So thank you from all of us at RACO, but also, from the Librarians cohort and any of our viewers who are joining us on our wonderful Librarians on the Couch program. It's been lovely having you with us, and I do hope that you will join us and subscribe so that you get the next fun editions of this show. And of course, if you'd like to join us on the couch, reach out to us at RACO at www.raco.com.au. We'd love to see you. Thank you so much again, gals. Karen, thank you for being with us as always, and we'll have more of Karen, of course, joining me on the couch, and maybe it's on the lounge. Maybe it's Librarians on the Couch in the lounge.
Maybe you need to do a poll.
Oh, there you go. Poor Adam and Dean, they'll have to change all the branding, but we'll work on that because we're adaptable and we can pivot. That was Adam saying, it'll be me.
Thank you.
Gals, thank you so much.
Give Christina a rockstar
We are, because, we need to do that. So, girl, I know you've got your theme song in your head. And you're going to be singing it in your head because we're going to splice it in, and we want to be dancing with you. So, Christine, thank you so much. You get to take us off. So away you go, girl. Woohoo! Woo! And she does. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. And again, thanks, Angela. Fabulous to have you with us. Great to be here.